Big news has just dropped recently. Trump just confirmed the support for the DOGE tax refunds. We're talking billions of dollars being returned to taxpayers. This is huge and really unprecedented. We haven't heard of anything like this. But before we dive in, let's make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you love staying on top of financial tips and also knowing on what's going on with current events and how it could affect you. But let's get right into it. So what exactly are the DOGE tax refunds? No, it's not. We're not talking about Dogecoin that you heard about a couple years ago where the value skyrocketed. You may have bought some thinking that, hey, I'm just going to get super rich off of this. That's not what we're talking about today, though that would be pretty crazy. But this department simply stands for the Department of Government Efficiency, which recently proposed a plan to return a portion of government savings back to taxpayers. I think this is where it gets interesting. If the government savings continue to grow, that refund can continue to climb up. I think as of right now, it really depends on how much they save. So the $5,000 number comes from saving that $2 trillion number. Now, they haven't really disclosed if it's less than that, what the refund will be, but really that number is coming from the $2 trillion in savings. So you may be asking, well, where the heck is the money coming from? In order for this to actually happen, the government is going to have to make more cuts in spending cuts across different agencies. Maybe some agencies that you know about. There's already been some, maybe Social Security that you've heard about, the Department of Education. There's been a couple other agencies that have already received spending cuts. And so that is where the money will be coming from. But I'm curious, what do you think? Should these cuts happen? Do you think they're going too far? I don't know what's going on, Cameron, but I'm just curious what you think. So drop your thoughts in the comments below and let me know what you think about what is going on. Now, not everyone is going to get this refund. Only taxpayers are going to qualify. So meaning if you didn't pay taxes, unfortunately, you're not going to see a dime. So you want to make sure that you are paying your taxes. Of course, Uncle Sam is going to get his money, whether we like it or not. But right now, about 85 million of Americans would be eligible. But the exact payout amount, once again, depends on the final savings numbers and how they decide to distribute it. Which really brings me to my next point. There's been some talk of maybe it's a tax cut, maybe it's a tax credit, maybe it's a refund. You know, there's just different ways they can distribute this. But we're hoping that it's cash back in our pocket, and it's an opportunity for us to be able to utilize it to maybe make some decisions that we'll talk about later. But we all remember the COVID era stimulus checks and unfortunately how it contributed to inflation. Most economic studies are saying about 42% of the inflation came from those studies. So really, what's the main priority here? Is it just to put money in our pocket? No, it's to reduce the deficit and control inflation. So it's not just handing out checks to make sure that we just line our pockets up. It's really to reduce the deficit and control the inflation. But I think this is the part that's really important. We've been here before, y'all. We've been here where we've gotten some type of refund, some type of stimulus from the government. And I think if there's one thing I could say is let's try not to fold this time. Let's try not to blow this money on maybe some material items that we think we wanted or some, unfortunately, dumb purchase that we've been thinking about that's not going to help us get towards financial freedom. I can't tell you how many times when we got those stimulus checks years ago, I saw people just continue to just buy things that they may not even have right now, or maybe they really wanted this new MacBook. And instead of investing that or paying off debt, they went and bought something that they really didn't need or probably don't even care about now. So let's try not to do that again. We may have a chance to make a difference in our lives and even generationally do some things. But I'm not going to just tell you what you should do. I'm actually going to give you some suggestions and practically how you can go about this. So here are 3 things that I suggest that you should focus on if you got that $5,000 right now for free. The first thing I'm going to say is that you can just pay off your high interest debt. So if you have credit cards, you have any issues with personal loans that you've been running from, ducking from, this is an opportunity to be able to get rid of that, improve your financial situation, and free up resources for you to be able to invest. One of the things I would say is debt robs your paycheck and your margin in your budget. And this is a chance for you to finally be able to get rid of it and finally breathe and not have to worry about minimum payments or debt anymore. So take this opportunity to do just that. If you paid off your debt, second thing I'm going to ask you to do with this $5,000 is to establish a savings account or emergency savings account, because it's going to give you a safety net, right? Things are going to happen. You may lose your job. A family member may be sick and you may have to be out of work for quite some time, or you may get sick, but you want to be able to have an emergency savings account. And right now, according to a 2023 survey, it's found that 45% of Americans could only cover a $1,000 emergency without having to resort to credit cards or personal loans. And then even on top of that, nearly 59% of adults feel uncomfortable with their level of emergency savings. And then on top top of that, about 27% have no emergency savings at all. And this is the first time that you can say, well, I have a chance to change that. I can, 5,000 is better than $0. I promise you. And so you want to make sure that you take this opportunity, if you've already paid off your debt, to be able to have a savings account and prepare for anything that may happen in life. And third, this is always the fun one, right? We want to contribute to any type of retirement account, whether we have a Roth IRA account or a 401k, because we want to build wealth. $5,000 invested right now with consistent distributions can lead to $200K plus in your life. So why not start now? You've heard things where it's like, oh, when I get this money, I'm going to invest. This is your time if you've paid off your debt. So if you've paid off your debt and you now have an emergency fund, you can now play the long game and start investing. But I'm not going to just tell you to start investing. I'm going to tell you what I would do in that situation if I didn't have an account or I wasn't investing currently. So one, I'm going to open a brokerage account. That could be with Fidelity, E-Trade, Robinhood. Those are a couple places that you can look at to open it. Two, you're going to choose your account. Roth IRA is a good one for the retirement because there's no taxes on your withdrawal because it's already with after-tax money. Third, this is really important, y'all. You have to put the money in there. So you have to put the money in the account because some people are like, oh, I'm just going to open a Roth IRA. Now you have to actually put the money in there. But this is the next part that's really important. Four, you have to invest. You actually have to invest the money. So you can't just, oh, I opened a Roth IRA and I put $5,000 in. It doesn't work like that. You have to buy things or low-cost ETF like VTI or VOO. And this is assuming that you don't touch those two ETFs for 30 years. Maybe you get an average market return of 9%. And then on top of you putting your $5,000 in there, you decide, okay, I'm going to invest $100 a month after I put this $5,000 in here, and I'm just going to stay consistent with that. Do you know that your account will be at $236,000 if you did just that? So the government gives you a freebie, you get $5,000, and you decide, I just want to put $100 a month in there, and you got $236,000. And yeah, it's not enough to retire, but maybe you've been waiting this whole time like, well, when I get the money, when I get some extra money, I'm going to invest. Well, really, there's no excuses anymore. They're now gone. You've gotten the $5,000. Now you have an opportunity to do that. So don't miss your opportunity to get financially free and build for your future. So will this actually happen? We're talking about, hypotheticals and what we would do if we had the money. But is this going to happen? Is it actually going to happen? And when is it going to happen? If it does, how much will you really get? Are you going to get $5,000? Is it going to be $1,500, $3,000? Regardless, those 3 steps that we talked about still should happen either way. But if you want to know if it's going to happen, right now the program is still in its early stages, but Trump's backing it, so that really does kind of help that it may actually move forward. But here are some of the big factors you should consider in that. How much savings is the government actually going to achieve? Because once again, we talked about it would be 20% of what they actually save. So if it's $2 trillion, they're talking about $5,000. If it's less than that, that number can change. 2 is whether they're going to issue refunds as cash or a tax credit. That's pretty important for us to know. And then 3 is how inflation and interest rates are going to play into this decision. Either way, it's a really exciting proposal, and I'll be keeping a close eye on it, and I'll give you more details as things come out. But if you like this video, you found it helpful, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for the channel to get more information just like this, and then also financial tips on how to grow your net worth. If you also found this video helpful, be sure to check out these to get more financial videos.